Hey, I want to talk about my ranger build. The idea is to make a melee ranger using mainly the sword, and I had many iterations of this build in the past, like how much things have changed. And I've done a conditioned version of this build before having the soul beast on the game. Now it doesn't make much sense because the dagger is so much better at doing that. So this is a power build. The soul beasts have so many things I like about it, and that actually works with this idea. So I'm gonna be using that. There's some things that are a little bit worse from the past iterations, and some things are better, and I'm not sure overall compared to like everything else, how it interacts with every other build, but maybe a bit worse. Maybe the build overall is a bit worse, but I like it. The thing is not to be an optimal or meta build anyway, so let's get into it. Okay, first thing, let's start with the specializations. First off, skirmishing, because that's one makes using sword main hand for actually fighting with it makes sense, because of Strider's defense and also Vicious Quarry, but mainly Strider's defense. So first off, on the first tier, we're gonna get Primal Reflexes because of how much synergizes with the second one. Because the second one, the Strider's defense grants you quickness every time you evade with the sword equipped, so it doesn't need to be evasion from the sword skills. Can be from any source, including your dodge roll. But as long as you have equipped, you can use the sword skills and any other sort of evasion to gain this quickness, and it's every 5 seconds you gain 3 seconds of quickness. Pretty much, it's a lot of uptime, especially when you can use your other source of quickness as well. So you're gonna be hitting really fast, really often. So you have, Fury that synergizes with the build overall as well, with this passive, and Hunter's tactics as well. So you had additional critical chance just from hitting from behind the side, just like the Thieves always had. And Vicious Quarry grants you a lot of damage when you're in Fury, and actually more crit chance when you're in Fury, so that's good. A lot of stat value on that. Second one, since you're running Soul Beast, there's a lot of things that synergizes with us here. Okay, first off, first tier, reductions on shouts, and it's very important because strength of the pack is really good. It works really well when you're going melee. It's pretty much your only source of stability, so hard to pass up. So that's already good. Reduce recharge on that, and then we have this passive here as well, Pack Alpha. We're gonna be in beast mode pretty much all the time, so we have 80 additional attribute increase from that. That's good. Over here you could go either way, because additional source of fury on two-handed training, but because I use the great sword mostly for the utility aspect of 3 and 4, which is the leap and the block, and when I'm actually gonna do damage. I mean, it's not bad for this, but I usually swap back as often as as soon as I can to the sword. So I tend to use natural healing for the additional. I mean, every time we're fighting, this is going on, so that's good. So more damage under Soul Beast with this passive, which we're gonna be on the time, and movement speed as well. I mean, 25%, pretty good. If for whatever reason you're not using quickness, someone strip it or whatever, but they can strip this from you. They cannot strip this from you. Then you're going to be melee, you're going to be chasing a lot of people, run from a lot of people. I mean, pretty good for any character overall, but especially for us. Honed axes. So having the axe, I mean, I think this is a pretty good, pretty impactful weapon to have. Having a pull and a massive damage, and if you're going melee all the time, like, people are going to be shooting projectiles at us eventually, and or trying to kite us. So that's another thing to do with that, the block of the projectiles. And the thing is, even hitting with the sword, having the axes equipped now actually grants you a lot of damage. I mean, that's a lot of stat, that's a lot of ferocity. And lastly, the Soul Beast specialization we're going to get. I mean, Fury Quickness, it synergizes with everything else on the skirmishing and everything we're going for. So another source of quickness, another source of fury, essence of speed. You're gonna get duration on every other boon, barring quickness, which we wanna be as often as we can and for as long as we can. And lastly, you could go for both the turnabout or leader of the pack. I usually go for the turnabout because I'm usually not in running stances, and I'm gonna get into that next. So, okay, for the utility skills, I mean, strength of the pack, I already said it's the only source of stability. You're going to be melee on the time. The mobile stance is gonna extend all the boons you get from both, like, all the sources of your quickness and your strength of the pack. So pretty much every time you're engaging, you're gonna be using all these three. I mean, if you're committing to something, actually trying to have a chance of fighting. So lightning reflexes, pretty good mobility. And the other thing is, I mean, let's talk about the mobility on this build. I mean, one leap from the great sword, one leap from the Soul Beast bird, one from lightning reflexes, and two more from the sword. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 leaps. That's awesome to both move on the map and actually chase or kite people. So by the healing skill, we have the shout recharge reduction, so we heal as one. I mean, it's the skill that heals more in relation to the reduced charge, so that's pretty good. The only thing is, with this set, you're gonna be having a problem of removing conditions. So if you really need, like, you have no choice going up against a condition build, which have plenty, but I mean, I guess you're very mobile, you can pick your fights sometimes. But you can use Bear Stance and use the recharge reduction on the Lasso Beast rate. I mean, that's situational, and you can't have. This is not a overall good build. It's a very it's a build with a very specific idea of being melee ranger in mind and having the quickness thing. So that's it. And about stats, I mean, I'm going full soldiers, and you would think, like, I mean, if you're doing power damage, I mean, you would like forsake any kind of impact you would have by wearing full soldier, but that's actually not the case because of the vicious query. Because just by having fury, like, I have 55% crit chance, so I'll be critting more often than not just with that. Plus I have the Sigil of Perception, so I'll be getting plenty of crit chance just from that, and from the Accuracy Sigil, which is 7% more. And the thing is, it seems like overkill having 28k HP and 3k armor with the soldier stat, but it's, I mean, you're more fragile than you would think, like, on paper with this, because other classes with the same stats like are able to survive a lot more. I mean, it's not like you're able to survive less, it's just it's a different kind of survivability that you have to play around, because you have like the mobility to compensate to not being able to go like trade damage with classes such as warrior and necromancer. And that's about it.